welcome, and thank you so very much for joining me on another episode of Talking Cloud. Now, this is, well, call it Talking Cloud, and we talk about cloud, but come on, what in the world of computing doesn't touch the cloud somehow, some way? We really will talk about anything. Nothing's off the table. It's all up for discussion. I really love to just get out there and let the river take us wherever it goes. And I told you so many times, Gilligan, I try hard to keep up with my guests because they're always professors in their own right, in their own way, in their own area. And I got a great one today. Now, I'll be totally candid. What I just love, I just met Amit about 4 minutes ago. And so we're fast friends. And I don't know anything about his organization, what he does. I just know it sounded really interesting when I got the brief from a PR firm. And so I said, hey, man, yeah, let's do this for sure. So I'm thrilled and excited to have with me. Look him up on LinkedIn, Amit Patel. He's the Senior Vice President for say it for me because I want consulting services.
Consulting solutions. Yep.
Solutions. See, I should have had it written down. My bad, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, hey, thanks for coming on the program, man. What's going on?
Well, Grant, I appreciate you having me on your show. By the way, I absolutely love your show. I love the candidness. I love the openness. I love just the general conversations. And it's funny, you call yourself Gilligan all the time on your shows, and you're one of the smartest individuals. And I have a pleasure listening to you.
That's really kind. I appreciate that a bunch. I'm just lucky to have been in this for so long that I kind of understand it and get it from a bit of a distance, at least conceptually. I try hard, but thank you. I appreciate that. And it's great to know that there's a listener out there and there's some people that are watching the program. But so, hey, tell me about the services, the consulting solutions you provide. Talk to me a little bit more about the company you're SVP of.
Yeah, absolutely, Grant. So the company is called Consulting Solutions. Been with them for about 6 years. And I lead our national delivery practice. So all consulting services work in the general technology space. So think cloud, AI, app dev, UX, cybersecurity. Generally, any challenges that our clients are facing with their technology issues, things that keep them up at night, or some of their technology initiatives that they have coming down the pipeline.
So you're like, you sound like an Accenture or the like, right? I mean, is that the kind of business you're in?
Yeah. Think of us as very similar from some of the big service providers out there as well. So we're
what differentiates you? I mean, obviously that's fiercely competitive, and I mean one area I can only imagine is you could be more swift and nimble. But do you have a niche? Are you kind of focused in a particular area? What sets you guys apart?
Yeah, great question. I think one of the things that really set us apart is we're a national company, but we're very locally focused in our delivery model. And so none of our consultants travel. So from just the expense standpoint, that cost is greatly reduced. And then number two, our consultants get to go home at the end of the day, right, to their families instead of going to a hotel. Right? I used to work for the big boys, early on in my career, and it's great when you're young and you're single and you're traveling the U.S. or the world and living out of hotels. But after years of doing that, it gets kind of tiring living out of a suitcase in a hotel for a while. And so,
I can empathize.
Yeah, exactly. You've been there as well. And so
I am there. I mean, that's definitely my, it's not necessarily the same kind of function once I land, but I get it. I understand it. And there's a consequence, right? There's a consequence. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, but that's an interesting approach. So you've got all your people local. They don't have to get on a plane. I guess you can always do what we're doing if you're in an instance where you need a technical expert or subject matter expert that's in a different area, right?
Exactly. And if we need to travel, we will, absolutely. But but for the most part, we typically don't. And again, with the advancement of technology these days, we can do this, right? A lot of the
Yeah.
times as well, and save that. And then secondly, also, we don't hire, we don't necessarily hire a lot of, early college grads or entry level. We hire a lot of experienced consultants across the board. And so
Mm.
we're able to, I hate to say it like this, but we're able to poach some of the tenured folks that want to get off the road a little bit
Right.
and stay
Right. Right.
local. And so all of our consultants, have at least 7 to 9 years of experience minimum, and they come to
Cool.
the table with a ton of experience across the board. So
And so, are you guys focused in a particular market size? Yeah, I mean, it's interesting where, if we had this discussion 20, 30 years ago, right, in the, say, 90s, I mean, your services would not likely be appealing or even considered by a large percentage of the business population because they weren't as sophisticated from a technological implementation and use and couldn't afford it, right?
yeah, yeah.
Today it's far different. So where do you
Yeah,
guys fit?
yeah, it's a great question. So, most of our customers right now are, I would say, the Fortune 1000.
Mm,
We also have mid-market customers, and we also work with, relatively well-funded startups as well from that perspective. So, across the gamut. But one thing that we've realized is, we believe in this kind of one-two punch, right? One is build relationships with your consult or with your clients,
yeah,
get to know them, get to know their issues, their challenges, right? Don't just throw solutions down their throats, especially if they don't need it, right?
yeah,
Really get to understand them, their pain points, their challenges, their issues, and then back that up with delivery, right?
mm,
We don't, cold call. We don't do the traditional sales, methodology. We want, our sales to come through delivery, right? So we
mm,
want our clients to come back to us and say, hey, you guys did a great job here, here, and here. Can you also help me out here and here, right? Because I trust you now. You've
yeah,
delivered some amazing stuff for me. And, we ultimately want to become their right arm from that perspective, right? A lot of customers or a lot of our clients, right, especially, with the advancements of the cloud and AI and cyber, especially, they don't necessarily want to take on the risks of implementing something that they've never done before and the
right,
risks that are associated with it, right? Rather, let's trust some company that's done this a dozen times before, right?
yeah,
They know the nuances, they know the pitfalls, they know what not to do just as much as what to do.
yeah.
And the risk is really lowered from a successful implementation. And then that way their own employees or their customers will start using it a little bit more, and the guardrails will come down from that
Right.
perspective as well. So
So, are you guys focused on, I mean, the buzz of digital transformation or digital? I mean, I always like to point out my personal opinion on this is that it's a hamster wheel.
yeah.
That once you get on it, you'll never get off because it doesn't always, it's not always digital transformation, but then it becomes digital modernization.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're on it forever, right? Because you don't end up going back to. I was looking for an ink pen to hold up for effect, but you don't do that, right? So, but there's the market now is so much bigger when you just rattle off the cloud, cyber, which I suspect cyber security, right? Kind of the security context. God, there's so many different areas. So, do you go in at the highest level and look at how you transform and then all of the components within it, or are you more focused on how to implement SAP or do some sort of new ticketing system? I mean, where's your base camp in terms of your pitches and your services?
Yeah, great question, Grant. One, we do the SAP implementation and the ERP implementations and all that good stuff as well. The other part of our business also is that strategy component. And so we do work with our clients to say, hey, let's take a look at your overall ecosystem. And again, whether it's a cloud initiative, whether it's a cybersecurity initiative, whether it's nowadays, right, it's a combination of a lot of those things as well.
Right.
And so we'll take a look and we'll peek under their hood a little bit and see, where their current state looks like. We'll look at what their future state needs to look like as well in terms of, hey, as you mature as an organization in these different areas, and again, it could be cloud services, it could be AI, it could be app dev, it could be whatever it looks like.
Right.
And here's where you are, here's where you need to be or want to be as an organization based on what you're telling us, and then kind of help them figure out what that gap looks like, right?
Yep.
It could be three things, it could be a dozen things in there, and then help them put that roadmap together as well to say, hey, here's some really low hanging fruit that is quick, quick for your money. It's going to return the biggest bang for your buck type of thing. Here's some
Yep.
maybe midterm solutions, and maybe here's some longer term solutions as well. Help them put that roadmap together, and then help them actually go ahead and execute on that as well. So
So I'm curious. It seems like every organization, whether you're, heavy in the consulting side and there's other components that go along with it to support it, or you're heavy in the products or whatever, we're always trying to grow the business. We're always trying to push it out into areas where we're not. So
yeah,
I'm just curious, where's your table stakes and where's your the more strategic for the company? I mean, is your most of your business working at the strategy level, and then you're trying to grow the screwdriver business, or is it the table stakes is the screwdriver business, and you're trying to, what I'm saying?
yeah, absolutely. I think that so. There's two components to this. One
And
is
maybe you're neither. I mean, I'm not trying to pigeonhole you, but I'm just curious.
no, no, and you make a great point, right? Because there's a couple of ways to look at this, especially from a how do we grow our own business, right? And how do we help our customers grow their business as well, right? Most organizations, especially the big boys, right? The top, if you look at the top, Fortune 500 customer, right? They have a good idea of what their annual goals are, and then how to translate those into, whether they're IT initiatives and things like that. They'll do their annual budget planning process, and they have a good idea of that.
Right.
We usually embed ourselves through that process as well, because again, we have the advantage of seeing 100 different companies within their market specifically, and then we also have the advantage of seeing 100 companies outside of their market and what's happening, and what are
Mm-hmm.
companies doing outside of their specific industry that maybe they can leverage as well, right? And
Yep.
so we help them figure out, hey, is this a good roadmap, is this not, should you tweak some things and all that good stuff as well. So
Mm.
we'll embed ourselves through that process and help them
Yep.
figure that plan out, and then we'll help them actually execute some of those initiatives as well wherever we can. And so it's kind of a two-pronged approach for us from that perspective. Sometimes companies have no idea what they need to do. All they need, especially right in the last year or so, you look at AI, right? It's the biggest buzzword since God knows when, and you know,
Despite machine learning's been around since 1956.
exactly, right. It's just another input to data, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I don't want to go off on my tangent because I've done it, but I'm such a big believer that anybody and everybody that uses this technology absolutely must understand LLMs, transformer, the transformer technology, and how that impacted the accuracy of the guess.
yeah,
Because it's still a guess.
yeah.
But I don't want to get off of that. So, are you seeing a lot of people struggling with AI?
I think we still are, right? Like, 'cause, again, a lot of, especially at that senior executive level, their
There's
board
a
is
lot of promise.
right. There is.
I mean, they're all going, holy, you mean I can cut my four? I mean, they're all rubbing their hands
Whoa.
together, thinking they're going to save massive money. And I just saw on the news this morning, business news, excuse me, where they were talking about all these companies that are suggesting they're going to be able to eliminate 20% of their entry level staff, all with AI. And, uh, on one hand, I mean, wow, that's really exciting, but that's also very concerning in a lot of ways. Not the least of which, and I brought this up in the context of cyber, that everybody's all excited about using cyber agents or AI agents to eliminate, because there's this huge gap in resources and talent in cybersecurity. But the reality is, I look at it like a ladder, and you're just removing the first four rungs.
Yeah,
It's still a 50-foot ladder, but now you got to get to the first rung, and it's 7 feet high.
yeah.
Right. So how it's almost like when you introduce an invasive species, the unintended consequences come up later. And
Yeah.
I just wonder if that's going to be one of the unintended consequences. Anyway, that was a whole
I,
spewy bunch of shit. So sorry
no,
about that.
no, Grant, I 100% agree with you, right? I think the problem a lot of organizations are facing is publicly traded companies, boards are mandating investments in AI. They they just don't want to get caught behind, right? And
Yeah.
so
Well,
everyone's
they're
saying,
seeing this freaking. I saw that the five of the largest, mega seven, right? The
yeah,
alphabet goes. I think it was five of them combined in their last most recent quarter, one all combined 108 billion on capital
yeah,
for AI.
it's crazy.
That's a lot
Yeah.
of, and so everybody's seeing that going, oh my God, I want to take that train.
Right,
Where's it
right.
going? Fuck, I don't know, but I want to get on that. I don't want to miss it.
I don't want to miss it exactly, right? And so people are pouring money into this, but you look at statistics, 90% of homegrown AI solutions have failed
Yes.
because people don't really know what they're doing, right? And you
Yeah.
brought this up earlier, right? Because underlying it's the data, right? If you don't have a good grasp on your data, or if it's
Yeah.
not clean, it doesn't matter whatever sophisticated tool you can put on top of it. It doesn't matter. Crap data going in is going to be crap data coming out anyways.
That's it. Exactly.
So
It's well, and there's just a lot of I mean, I honestly, I'm super jazzed about it. I use it every day. I love it.
I do too. Yep.
The flip side is I am, concerned about the fact that nobody really understands what's going to come out the other end. But boy, it's impressive, right? I mean, how did that do that? Well, I don't know exactly. That's concerning to me.
Yeah.
Um, and then, I've seen some recent and actually spoken on some recent deception that has demonstrated itself across all 16 of the leading models, like willing to lie and
Yeah.
cheat, all when it comes back to survival. So,
Yep.
my supposition is that um, because all of the training and all of the information that's went into these public LLMs it's us.
Yeah.
It's us in
Yep.
every shape, way, every form. Uh, Even though we've never said, hey, Claude, ChatGPT, lie if it means preserving your installation,
Right.
lie if it means staying alive.
Yeah.
But that's what it's doing
Yeah.
at just an unbelievable high percentage. Now, there's interesting debate because these are setups, right? I mean, Claude set up a fictitious company with Anthropic, with Claude installed, and gave it access to all email. So, I mean, there were some tendencies, but if you look at some of the people now with their co-pilot on their shoulder all the time, reading every one of their email, and Grammarly, I mean, you think Grammarly's helping your grammar.
You're
Au
you're the
contraire.
product. Yeah.
Au contraire.
Yeah.
And so it's just fascinating to me. And I wonder, where's it going to break? I look at, you ever taken a piece of asparagus, right? Nice, and what they say to do is hold it at the top and then at the bottom and bend it until it snaps. And it'll snap in the point where the real fibrous, hard to chew stuff will be on one end and you'll have the nice stalk on the other. But you never know where exactly that is
Yeah.
until you snap it. And I kind of think of this and the way people are implementing it, and they just don't know exactly where it's going to break.
Yes.
I mean, I read all the time about everybody's doing it, but I haven't read about where everybody's doing it wildly successfully. I mean, agents and the whole, how can I help you? describe your problem. That whole implementation. Yeah, we're not going to pull that one back, but that's only so much. You know, it's just really interesting because, and I wonder. Let me ask you this: we like perfection, and maybe if it's not perfect, it's got to work exactly right.
Right.
So it can't have obvious boo boos or mistakes or errors, right? I mean,
That's
that's I think one of the things that holds us back from full implementation because it occurs. But our adversaries on the security topic specifically, they don't care
yeah, right.
because it's making them exponentially more effective despite it not being perfect
And efficient.
and massively exponentially more efficient.
Yeah.
And so it begs the question, is that where we're going to get beat because they're accepting better where we want best? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Greg, you bring great point. I think that the whole AI and cybersecurity realm is it's exciting. It's also a scary time, right? Because obviously we're seeing more and more companies. A lot of our clients are starting to leverage AI into their cybersecurity practices, right? Auto detection, right? They're reducing response times. They're able
Yep.
to analyze, tons of logs, right? All that is phenomenal.
Great.
But the threat actors, right, the bad actors, they also have access to the same types of tools, right? I
Yep.
mean, look, just a couple of years ago, right, you and
And they
I,
use it more
they
effectively.
use it more
That's the
effectively.
and because they're willing to accept it if it
Yep.
misses,
No big
where
deal.
we don't want to implement it if it misses. That's kind
Exactly
of
right. And like a year ago, right, you and I could spot out a really spam email, very easily, right? Bad grammar,
no way, man.
links are broken, right? All that
Yeah,
good stuff. But nowadays, with these deep fake videos and
yeah,
voice memos, I mean,
yeah.
you could replicate yourself, myself,
I
any
do.
level of organizations, right? I mean, to the T. And even again, I'm not the world's greatest expert, but I like to think I'm a little bit smarter than the average Joe when it comes to these things. And some of these emails, I'm like, is this real or is this?
Check out check out Hey Jen if you've not seen it. HAYGEN.ai. I'm a subscriber. So if I ever want a message to go out in any of 86 different languages, I can record it in English and and my lips move not perfectly, but it's getting better and better.
Yeah,
And it won't be too long where you're not going to be able to tell the difference. It's
yeah,
really remarkable. And you actually can upload videos of yourself and it'll create an avatar of you so that you can tell it what to say and it'll say it. Now, I haven't figured out, and maybe I haven't paid enough on the subscription to how to make my avatar have my voice,
right.
like, because it's my voice in all these different languages. But pretty amazing stuff. And listen, what I think a lot of people have to be aware of, and I think largely the audience that is listening to me probably is, but the broader audience I hope to reach, I know isn't. If I send you an email today after this call, and after the email in the bottom, I type a prompt injection
Right.
and I select it all and I make it white text
Yep.
so you can't see it. And your organization is running some over the shoulder AI that's watching and summarizing every email and everything else. If they don't have a tool in place to protect against that, they
Yep.
just got injected.
Yeah.
And that is one of those, you know, I got to think of a good analogy of where you're just like, I think there are so many people that are like oblivious
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah, Grant, prompt injection, you're right. I mean, we're seeing more and more of this case happening. I mean, just more and more frequently. I'll give you another example, right? a bank, one of our customers, a banking customer, they have a kind of a chatbot that helps them look at service tickets and things like that as well.
Yeah.
What's stopping any threat actor by putting a service ticket in, and just like you mentioned, putting a prompt in there,
Yep.
and
Yep.
now their AI is all automatically going to execute that.
You
I
know
mean,
what'll stop them? Lakira. We just bought them.
yeah,
Yeah, seriously, man, it's such a cool product. It really, it's the latest acquisition Checkpoint made. This is not a podcast of commercials for Checkpoint, but I'm telling you, man, this you really for your business, you really should check it out. These guys created something, you know, the normal startup modality is you start up and you got three people and you go, hey, let's go get some customers. And you hope one day we'll sell to name a Fortune 10, right?
right.
They're at Fortune 10 already.
Oh wow.
Apple, I mean, among others, right? And the guys that built it, if I remember right, they were in academia. Then they went to, I believe, Google. And if I remember right, they were working on autonomous vehicles or something, right? And the scale and accuracy and capability you have to have, right? It's like being able to drive around the earth 20,000 times without having any accident or whatever, right? To get the regulations passed. So scale is something they understood. And several years ago, they foresaw the need for something to protect against this type of technology. And so, unlike others that bolt on to one of the other big mega
Mhm.
AI, they built their own. And
What's this company called?
it's called Lakira. Now it's Checkpoint, and they're key to our AI pillar, but it's called Lakira, Lakera. But what you need to check out, Amit, and anybody listening, is check out Gandalf, Gandalf Lakira.ai. It's a prompt game where you try to advance in levels to get the guy Gandalf to give you the password. But here's what's so cool: 2 million or something like that users globally of this game is crowdsourced the intelligence for their product because of
Genius.
the innovation and ways of I'm coming up with different prompts to convince that guy to, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's just feeding in the intelligence on how to protect against those very same prompts. Brilliant.
And you gamify it, right? I mean, you
Yes.
can't do anything better than that.
Yeah, it's really fabulous. But I mean, for your business and for your customers, seriously, because this is you know, there's like so often in the cybersecurity space, there's all these flying little things around the nest. And I mean, they all say they're a bird that fits in that nest, but they all don't, right?
Right.
There's how they do their AI security. I mean, that's going to be one of those, oh, we do AI security. I mean, we already seeing it's so pervasive now. Everybody has AI in their security. We're using AI. Well, it's going to be, it's just like you're going to throw up in your mouth. You're hearing it so much.
Yeah.
And there's not going to be very many that are really doing something special, unique, and different. And I really believe if you look at this company, um, they are, and now we are. And it's super exciting because um, I think it's addressing areas that a lot of people just aren't thinking about, and we're doing it on our own instead of trying to tie into some other solutions. So
Yeah, and Grant, I think you make a good point, right? Because there's a lot of areas, traditionally, right, IAM and data security, and there's not one tool that will fix all your problems, right? So I do
nope.
believe that there's multiple things that we need to look at, and I think a lot of organizations have done a great job with some of those different areas. But to your point, right, these are the next evolutionary steps that we have to
Yep.
take a look at. And if we
Building
don't,
a new stack, man.
yeah,
Building a new
exactly.
stack.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it. And it's kind of interesting, right? Because when you combine the different technologies, AI, quantum, and architecturally full mesh, right? This
Yeah.
new world where, you know, every supercomputer I carry can hand off to the other one, right? Regardless of the transport.
Yep.
I mean, it's truly remarkable when you start to think about how fluid all that data is becoming.
Oh yeah.
And as we continue to add layers, rings on that digitization, right? Because it's truly just reaching farther and farther. Um, the world's, I mean, it all seems very similar, but it's changing, and it's pretty awesome right now.
Yeah, I think to your point, I think it's awesome. It's scary. It's a lot of those things, right? But
Yep.
you've got to prepare. You've got to take advantage of it and start small, right? You don't have to go out and try to blow up the world, but start small in your context. Figure out what works for you as an organization, and
Yep.
take those incremental steps to continue to improve and get better and better every day. And I think
Yep.
as long as you take those appropriate steps, and again, while protecting your data and your employees and your customers, right, and all that good stuff, then you could create a winning model.
Yep.
But you've got to
Yep.
be organized around it. It starts with data, right? You and I, we talked about that, right? Ultimately, you've got
Yeah.
to know where your data is,
I've
where it
always pondered,
resides.
right? What would have happened if we had start? I mean, I know it's foolish to even, I guess, ponder it because there were a number of factors that wouldn't allow it. But had we only started out really realizing, because think about it, Moore's law, right?
Yep.
So Moore's law. When did Rob Moore, whatever the guy, right, his name from Intel?
Yep.
I think it was in the 60s, late 60s or 70s that he came up with this. Okay. Long before we had the internet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, long before. And by the time the internet hit, Moore's Law was proven to be true and continuing.
Yeah. Right.
So it begs the question, why didn't some smart guys like you professors, have the forethought to say, yeah, we're only 1200 baud today. But, in 20 years, this is what's going to look like. And what's going to matter then is the data, the packet, that
Right.
data, right? Not the perimeter. I mean, I guess it's unreasonable to think you can foretell the future like that. But we did have indicators with Moore's law. That's, I guess, the point is if we'd only kind of just really imagined it. But I don't know if anybody wanted to wait, you know.
I think that's the tough part. I think it's with the advancement of technology, it's so tough to even determine what's now, especially these days, what's going to happen a year from now, right? Let
Mm,
alone, you know, 6 years from now or 10 years from now. And it's so, I think things are rapidly changing so much. And again, people don't want to get left behind, but
yep.
I think people are still just, it's tough, right? Nobody knows what's going to ultimately win out or who's going to win out. I think there's going to still be more changes that are going to happen. And if you look at, right, Grant, like the amount of investments that just are going on in AI right now, in order to justify, you look at just data centers alone, right? The amount
Ugh.
of trillions of dollars that are being spent on data centers alone,
Yeah.
we would need to have trillions of dollars in revenue by 2030. So in 5 years, I mean, trillions of dollars in revenue is Nvidia, Apple, Google, all of these times X amount, right? And
Yeah.
so
That's
to justify that is going to be, yeah, there's going to be some clear winners, but there's going to be some clear losers in the
oh,
very
no
near future as
question.
well. So
No question. So hey, I want to ask, who where's your, if you said my sweet spot for our company is, well, how would you describe that? Whether
yeah,
it's customer profile, industry, where do you really focus?
Yeah,
I mean,
great
I know
question.
you said it's all over, but I mean, anybody got money and they want to pay you. But I mean, have you found yourself kind of in a groove where you're kind of known?
Yeah, we're phenomenally. We do a great job on implementation initiatives. So think ERP, CRM implementations, things like that. One of our heads that leads our ERP practice. I mean, I think he was employee 70 at SAP and things like
Mm.
that. So we have expertise in a lot of these areas. So again, that implementation space we know phenomenally well, and we do a great job there.
So you
Uh,
sell those bodies essentially on contract over the course of a term to actually go through scope, do the implementation of a job?
Yeah, so we'll do either the end-to-end project. So it could be for example, and especially when you're looking at things like SAP or some of the large ERP
Yeah,
initiatives, you're
big
talking about
animals.
you're talking about tens of millions of dollars in investments, right? That's outside of
Yeah,
licensing costs and things like that. And it's a multi-year effort, and so we'll help them out all the way from strategy to the full implementation of it as well. And then even connecting with their third-party applications and whatnot. And so we do that phenomenally well. I think that's one of our bread and butters. The other is general app dev, so custom application development, mobile, things like that. We do a great job on there as well. You know, a couple of dumb examples, right? I mean, we've helped develop, mobile applications that sit on SAP, for example, and things like that
mm,
as well. That sometimes our customers don't want whatever SAP has directly themselves. They want something a little bit more robust for their own use, and
yeah,
so we'll do a lot of those application initiatives, and then a lot of work on kind of just the strategy work as well. So help
cool.
them help them figure out what that next phase of their evolutionary cycle looks like for them.
And I didn't, if I don't think we covered, but I'm curious. National, global, where's your footprint? How big are you guys?
Yeah, we're about 1,200 consultants nationwide. We're mostly in the US. I would say about 96% of our consultants reside in the US, and then a little bit overseas as well. But most of our work is in the States.
Got it.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, cool. Private
Yeah.
company?
What's that?
Private
Yep. We're,
company?
we're privately held. We're private equity backed. But yeah, we are privately held. Yep.
Cool.
So
Cool.
and growing, and hopefully an exit one of these days.
Yeah, well, that's what we all hope for, right? When you're, I mean, if you're in that market, it's certainly, that's why you get into it, so you can get
Exactly.
out of it, in hopefully better shape than you got into it, right? That's
Exactly.
that's always
Exactly.
the idea. So, hey, Amit, this has been fun, informative, and why don't you just take a second if you can and tell everybody again the company and where they can find you and how they can reach you.
Yeah. The company's name is Consulting Solutions, consultingsolutions.com. Again, my name is Amit Patel. I'm the Senior Vice President and I lead our consulting practice. I'm on LinkedIn. I think my LinkedIn title is, or the name is Amit Patel 12. There's a lot of Amit Patels out there. And so,
Yeah.
but yeah, happy to help out from, those types of initiatives.
Terrific, terrific. Well, this has been really interesting, very informative, and I think, as I mentioned earlier, the greatest thing about this is each time I get another friend, and it's been wonderful getting a chance to talk with you. And so, thank you very, very much for being on the program, Amit. I really appreciate it.
Grant, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on your show, sir. And it's a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah, you bet. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, fun times for me, hopefully for you too, because I get to actually have these conversations straight up, and it's just a lot of fun. So it wouldn't be worth it if it weren't for you. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate you listening and sharing and telling your friends, and keep coming back. And we'll look forward to seeing you back on the next episode of Talking Cloud. Thanks very much.